Good evening, everyone. Before we start, I wanted to give some short comments about myself. Thank you very much for the privilege of allowing me to do this job. I wanted to say also, it's my first time doing this, so if I make some mistakes, please cut me some slack. It is my first time. So that being said, I would like to call to order the 2023 annual town meeting for the town of Dighton. Call it to order on June 5th, 2023 at 7:09 p.m. The first thing I'd like to mention is that we do have emergency exits over here and over here, as well as at the back. All voters that are here must be checked in by the checkers out the front. If you are not a voter, you need to be seated in one of these front rows with the green papers. And only those people that can't vote should be sitting in the area with the green papers, including family members. Let's see. All town officials and residents will have the right to speak after obtaining permission from myself. Any other persons who are not town officials or residents, after gaining permission from myself and getting permission from this assembly by a majority vote, will be allowed to speak. We are going to be abiding by Cushing's manual tonight, and I would like to say if anybody has any questions or concerns, raise your hand and say, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to help you as best as I can and try to make this as informal and friendly as possible. That being said, I would like to request everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Moment of silence, please, for those people in the town that have passed over the past year. Thank you very much. I'd like you, any persons that are speaking, please be sure to direct all of your comments to me. And keep all of the conversations to a minimum so that other people may be heard. At that point, I'd like to ask if we have any housekeeping motions.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we dispense with the reading of the warrant. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Moderator, I move to dispense with the reading of the articles and that reference to them be made by number and content. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we consider adjournment at 11 p.m.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. First article we have is to hear the reports of the various town committees.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we hear the report of the town officials in the Capital Outlay Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. At this point, I'd like to ask Selectman Karen to come forward and grab the microphone, reach over. There you go.
Just before I start, tomorrow is June 6th. It is the 79th anniversary of the Normandy invasion. It is because of this sacrifices, bravery, and determination of American and Allied forces that we are here tonight. In their memory, I ask that we again have a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. Good evening, my fellow residents of Dighton. My name is Peter Karen, and I am one of your three Dighton selectmen. It's It's an honor to stand before you tonight and share my thoughts on the issues that affecting us all. Firstly, I would like to thank my fellow hardworking selectmen, Leonard Hall, and our newly elected selectman, Nicole Mello. I'd also like to thank our administrator, Mike Lovin, who less than a week ago became a dad for the third time. I would like to thank all the public servants and volunteers who make our town a better place. Their dedication to serving the community is commendable, and we are all grateful for their efforts. It is important that we continue to support them and work with them to make our town even better. I believe Dayton is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but there are always opportunities for improvement. As we move forward, I believe that there are several key issues that we must address. One of the most pressing issues is the need for better infrastructure. Some of our roads, bridges, and public buildings are in need of renovation. We must invest in these critical assets if we are to continue to attract businesses and families to our town. Another important issue is the need to support our schools. Our children are the future of our town, and we must do everything in our power to provide them with the best education possible. This means investing in our schools and ensuring that our teachers have the resources they need to succeed. Several of you are attending tonight because of the library. Libraries are community centers and are not just places to borrow books anymore. They are places where people can gather, participate in events and activities, engage in lifelong learning. Tonight we're asked to vote on Articles 14 and 15, both which go towards funding the library. A yes vote will allow the library to move forward with its construction. A no vote would leave the money in the accounts to be spent on other projects. Either vote would not affect your taxes because the tax has already been paid. Lastly, I would like to emphasize the importance of community engagement. We all have a role to play on shaping the future of our town. Whether it be by attending town meetings, volunteering, or simply being a good neighbor, we can all make a difference. I urge you all to get involved and make our town the best it can be. In conclusion, I believe that our town has a bright future, but we must work together to realize its potential. By addressing these issues and engaging in our community, we can build a stronger, more prosperous, and sustainable town for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Carey. I'd like to ask the Finance Committee Chairman, Peter Roach, to speak now.
Mr. Moderator, Board of Selectmen, Mr. Administrator, Mr. Clerk, Town Council, members of the Finance Committee, and fellow residents of Dayton, welcome to the annual town meeting. My name is Peter Roach, and I'm the Chairman of the Finance Committee. Let me begin by thanking all the department heads, the Town Administrator, the Town Accountant, and Board of Selectmen's Administrator, Karen Brady, for all the work that they've done preparing tonight's warrant, as well as getting ready for the budget itself. This year's budget process improved significantly over past years. Fiscal year 24 was the first year that when the FinCom sat down for our initial meeting, we received a budget that was under the levy limit. In 13 years, that's not happened. The financial team should be commended for their hard work over the past year in tightening many of the accounting policies and procedures that helped us get to that point, as well as work with the different department heads to be sure that by the time it got to us, everything was in line. Current stability, financial stability of our town is strong. The stabilization fund, which the state recommends be between 5 and 10% of your budget, currently is at 5.8%. Our capital stabilization is at roughly 7.5%. And the town of Dayton is one of the better funders of OPEB retirement benefits in the state. Now I say that, and then I'm going to pull the black clouds back. We know as a team that the coming years are going to be difficult, and everyone is keeping an eye on the future as well as the current. This budget represents a balanced budget that meets all the thresholds to stay within Prop 2.5. It addresses immediate needs as well as positions us to be successful moving forward. The budget provides a strong commitment to the services that we as townspeople expect. We took a conservative approach without jeopardizing what we expect to receive as taxpayers, while also keeping an eye on future obligations. Just a few highlights. Education-wise, it was a cooperative effort between the three schools to come to these budget lines with the added strain of the first new debt payment from BP. And it also includes some security upgrades at the Dayton campus that's paid for by the schools. Library, there's 2 articles to finalize library reconstruction without increasing costs to town residents. Public safety, we are receiving a fire truck that was ordered 2 years ago, receiving an ambulance that was ordered a year ago, and I'm hoping that the police vehicle that we ordered in the fall has been received. No, maybe next year. In all, at this point, May 31st, our capital stabilization account has $1.497 million. Capital stabilization has $1.904 million, and that was regular stabilization. Free cash, if all the articles pass, would be $4,000 at the end of this meeting, and the ambulance fund has $296,000 at the end of this meeting. In closing, the FinCom met extensively with all departments to develop this recommendation, and we look forward to any questions and comments along the way.
Thank you very much, Chairman Roach. At this point in time, I'd like to ask the Capital Outlay Committee Chairman, Robert Brendan, to speak.
I'm not technically challenged or anything. My name is Robert Brendan. I am a member of the Finance Committee and the Chairman of the Capital Outlay Committee. I'll start by saying that the Capital Outlay Committee continues to implement and refine the necessary processes, procedures, and policies to make recommendations to the Finance Committee and to the townspeople with regards to the town's capital expenditures. It's imperative that we as a town have a strong grasp on what our upcoming capital needs are. Not only now, but for the next 5 years. We do have to do some planning here. And I don't say this lightly. We have to consider all the factors that are out there. The new BP assessment as a real live example that we've had to deal with when making these recommendations. Additionally, we've moved to zero-based accounting, which means that essentially we're likely going to have a decrease in the amount of free cash that we see on an annual basis. So that in turn means that we as a town need to become more creative in terms of how we fund our future endeavors. And we have to put a much greater emphasis on pursuing grants and other aid that is available. Thankfully, we have department heads who have been heavily pursuing these alternative ways of funding these initiatives. With regards to this year's warrant, we as a committee have reviewed the requests submitted by the various department heads. And the fact that these warrant articles are here is indicative of our recommendation to the Finance Committee and to the townspeople of our support for these warrant articles. It is our hope that now in the upcoming fiscal year, we will be able to present a more solid plan with regards to how things will look not only now, but in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brendan. At this point, our Town Administrator, Michael Mullen, wants to have a PowerPoint presentation. And I'd like to remind you, as a good friend of mine often says, brevity is the soul of things.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and fellow residents of Dayton. My name is Mike Mullen. I have the honor and the privilege of serving as your town administrator for just over the last 2 years now, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. And I want to thank. I want to thank you, the residents of the boards. And the player boards who hired me and have supported me. I love Dayton and I love really serving as your town administrator in the town. So thank you. One of the things we've been doing for the better part of the last 2 years, so like is presenting informational overviews, so like of the entire town meeting warrant, that includes summaries, like of the proposed articles published. So like really in a way to really break down what the articles are, what they seek to do, so they can really take away a lot of the semantics and the legalese that go into the articles and really break them down. So you and we as town officials really understand what we're trying to do with them, and we did publish them on our website about a week and a half ago. And if anyone is here tonight scrolling, and you want to see additional backup and information, on any of the articles, if you go to the town's website, you can access the informational overview for this evening's meeting there. But in terms of really what the overview is and what hopefully the business of tonight's meeting will include, we do have a 27 article annual town meeting warrant, which is actually brief, Mr. Moderator, compared to other annual town meeting warrant. So we are on track. I thought we have to get out of here hopefully at a decent hour. But included in the warrant, we do have the proposed fiscal year 24 operating budget. It's a $25.3 million budget with a 5% overall increase over FY23 appropriations. The town operating budget, our proposed operating budget, gives a fiscally responsible, structurally balanced budget with a projected excess levy capacity of approximately $100,000. Efforts to plan for the next fiscal year, as has been mentioned, has really focused on conservative, zero-based justified budgeting. As we adapt to many fiscal challenges that are really shaped at this point by a whole host of outside factors. As has been mentioned, we do have various warrant articles that do reflect the ranked priorities of our capital outlay, which have also been accompanied by respective recommendations from the selectmen and FinCom. We do have, as been mentioned, 2 articles relating to building improvements for the new home of the Dayton Public Library, 207 Main Street. And we also have proposed articles that propose to fund elementary and middle school security improvements. We have an article that would seek to continue funding the Main Street roadway reconstruction efforts, public safety equipment and funding for Forest Hills claims and related claims. I actually think one of the things, like I mentioned earlier, if you look at the warrant, a lot of our town meetings, in our warrant articles, they do include terms that are very concrete nature, but they do really have important meanings for the business town meeting. And just really to recap, those terms are available funds. Those are the funds that the town has available in the current fiscal year. The excess levy capacity, that essentially means the room that the town has through the requirements in the guidelines of Prop 2.5. To be able to raise an appropriate through taxation, to fund general government services. And as has been mentioned, the proposed FY24 budget does have an excess levy capacity of about $100,000. But the fiscal year, the town operates a fiscal year that goes from July 1st to June 30th of each year. And and then free cash, there's a lot of misnomers. So like free cash, I mean like get, so like and we all agree that free cash, so when we all agree that free cash is not just free money, that's really the undesignated fund balance that carries over from the prior year. And Colonel Perry, he's out there somewhere, but he always asks at the beginning of every town meeting, like what our free cash balance is. So like as of right now, so like as of right now, we do have an FY23 free cash balance of $514,000, which we do have recommendations to use at this evening. And it has also been mentioned, one of the highlights of this year's budgeting process has been a zero-based budgeting methodology. So like in the zero-based budgeting, so it's a budgeting process where we really have asked the departments, boards, and committees to build their budget from the ground up, really beginning at zero. So really using last year's budget as a starting point. So like as you go through and as we have gone through the budget,
No, I can't.
and our budget process over the last 5 months, we have utilized that, our departments have utilized that. So the budget, the $25.3 million budget that, is being presented this evening it has gone through that process, and we built that budget up from zero. So like over the last 5.5 months or so. And so like as I mentioned, just really to recap, we're treating our budget process as a plan. So for how we're moving forward, we're proposing to move forward in the next year. Like in a way that we've been able to rationalize the proposed budget requests and appropriations. And as all of us have evaluated these proposals and requests, the backup information has justified all of that to everybody. So, getting into actually what's included in the budget, we have, in terms of how we're dealing with our revenues and expenditures, our FY24 proposed expenditures, our proposed to increase by just over $1 million from FY23 levels. Like as I mentioned earlier, really driven by cost increases outside of the town's control. In terms of our education budget, we are being faced with education budget. So when you combine the budget, so in our assessment from DR, from Bristol Aggie and BP, so we do have an increase of $907,000 when you look at what our FY23 appropriation was. So compared with what's being requested in the FY24 budget. So in terms of the $1.1 million increase in expenditures, the education budgets, so in the capital assessments that are included, so will come along with the in the education budget. So $907,000 of a $1.1 million increase. So in expenditures are coming just from the education side alone. That really includes 85% of our available new revenues this year. So we clearly have, especially going into FY25, the sustainability issue that really, after tonight, we're going to be working on. So, to take us from now to next year's meeting, and we do have just as part of the roughly $193,000 difference, we do have an increase in the Bristol retirement assessment of $150,000. We have a $13,000 increase. So in trash and recycling pickup, that's in addition to the increase we saw this year at $113,000. Because the world we live in, we prioritize our cyber liability insurance. we made that a priority. We have a $20,000 increase in health insurance costs. And just like everyone, we have seen a market increase in fuel and energy costs as well. And we have been able to realize some savings and efficiencies to decrease the time and separation costs. Thankfully, we have like a very light snow year, and we also have like a number of unemployed as well in FY23. So as I mentioned, really like a few moments ago, from a strictly financial standpoint, we're now really seeing a slippery slope. Our education capital assessment budget will continue to crowd out our ability to fund core town government functions, and also even though we're in a even though now in planning for FY24, we're in a very sustainable place. We do have very significant challenges as we move forward into FY25, and we'll be really continuing to focus on all those as we move forward after this evening. So that is everything. So that is everything I have. I appreciate your patience and your attention, but I thought it was really important. To take this opportunity to present really the whole, whole budget overview. We're all going forward as one town, as one community, and all on the same page. So thank you for my work.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen, and I'd like to rip him as I consider him a friend, but I want everyone to realize, the amount of tireless work this man does. He's done a wonderful job, and he actually is making our meeting shorter tonight. I know he's condensed articles and done a great job, and I look forward to working with him next year to make this meeting even more breezy. So that being said,
I move that we accept it.
Nope. We need a motion from Mr. Rooney. Not yet. So is Mr. Bill Rooney here? I need somebody to, I need a motion to hear a report from Mr. Rooney. Motion made and seconded. All in favor of hearing what Superintendent Bill Rooney has to say? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Rooney. So if you want to use the microphone right there. Technical difficulties for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. He's good.
Just need a moment to convert from Mr. Mullen's budget.
While he's doing that, I thought I'd take a moment to realize I've made a mistake already. And hearing all these fine people, I never actually introduced myself. I'm the town moderator, Bill Moore, in case anyone doesn't know. I'm introducing myself in the beginning. Sorry about that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Rooney, and I'm the superintendent of schools here for the Rehoboth Regional School District. And it is an absolute pleasure to be here tonight I have to say that you folks are very, very fortunate to live in an amazing town. Just in the 9 months or so that I've been on the payroll, and about a little over a year that I've been under contract with the district, I've tried to integrate myself into as many of your events and comings and goings as possible. I went to my first Cow Chip Festival on Saturday. Terrible weather, but still had a wonderful time. And I can't say enough about the support for our schools that comes from our school committee members who, although they are elected officials, they are volunteers. Your Board of Selectmen, your FinCom, your town administrator, Mr. Mullen, they are just absolutely very professional, and they make our lives at central office a lot easier by just how friendly and cooperative and collaborative that they are. So I just want to be able to say that you have an incredible town, and I wanted to be able to start that way. I want to hit a couple of highlights from the school district thus far this year. We were very fortunate to be able to be given a gift, if you will, by the town to be able to increase the presence of safety and security at the Dighton campus, Dighton Elementary School and Dighton Middle School, by having an SRO assigned to that campus, but also probably more importantly, well, I don't tell Officer Hathaway that, but equally as important, we were able to have a comfort dog, Okie. And I have to tell you that, you see a picture here with the SROs, Hathaway and Bennett, a picture that I was able to take with Okie when I was at the Dighton Middle campus at one point in time. The way that that dog and Officer Hathaway have a way with our young people to be able to de-escalate certain behaviors, be able to give them a comfort level and a level of enjoyment with coming to school is an invaluable gift for us. While we're speaking in terms of safety and security, I want to thank Chief Cronin and Chief McGee for being wonderful partners with us. When we started in July, we knew that there were many safety and security deficiencies in our district, not just on the Dighton side of campus, not just at this building, but in our entire district. With Chief Cronin and Chief McGee's leadership, Detective Ryan Richards, and our SROs worked together with with Rehoboth Fire and Rehoboth Police to be able to completely reassess our approach to safety and security in the district. And so I am very grateful to the town officials in Dighton for the support of our schools. We also had a very exciting piece of news that was given to us earlier this spring. One of our teachers at Dighton Elementary School was recognized as a Milken Award winner, which is a national award. Her name is Lee Beeson, and listening to her and being able to interact with her as she presented not only at the Board of Education, but also listening to the interactions that she had when she went to a conference out in Los Angeles. It's just indicative of the wonderful things that are going on at Dighton Elementary School, but also within our district. She's a great ambassador for the school, but it's also important that she's just a representation of the many, many teachers and staff members that are doing an excellent job in our district. Earlier this year, we bid farewell to a long-standing school committee member, Ms. Janice Terry. Ms. Terry is very, very generous to the district, not only with her time and service of nearly 30 years, but she and her husband have also donated towards scholarships, and they have donated towards a van that the district is in the process of having built for serving our special education students. We also, earlier this year, were given some other national recognition. This banner to my left, to your right, signifies that our theater company here at Dayton-Rehoboth Regional High School has been recognized as a premier national education theater arts educational opportunity. The schools that our students go to, from both Dayton and Rehoboth, schools like Bristol Plymouth, schools like Bristol Aggie, some of the Catholic schools, some of the private schools that are around, they certainly offer an excellent experience for our students, but knowing that we have some of these other aspects of our high school is putting us on the map in terms of the high school and putting us back in the conversation of why our students in both Rehoboth and in Dayton should leave 8th grade and then come to our high school. I came from Attleboro High School as a principal. Attleboro High School is a comprehensive high school. And when you say comprehensive high school, that means that you have a CTE vocational component. We had, when I left, with a brand new building that opened in August, we had 18 CTE programs. Here at Dayton-Rehoboth, we have 7, but this year we have spent a lot of time infusing new energy and life into our CTE programs. Again, Bristol Plymouth and Bristol Aggie have some great options for our students. We're continuing to put ourselves on the map in terms of the value and the quality of the education here at TR. Thank you. He's Bill, I'm Bill. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, just very briefly, is our approach to the budget process. I am very appreciative of the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen and their support of our budget process. We met with your FinCom a couple of months ago, and between our budget subcommittee of the school committee, our entire school committee, and our central office team, we have worked very, very hard to try to have as much of a transparent process as possible. We worked very hard before we even presented our preliminary budget to be able to narrow it down as much as we possibly could. And we were able to do that because of the fact that we meet monthly with Mr. Mullen, and we meet monthly with the town accountant, so that we're keeping them posted on expenses that we anticipate, things that we anticipate are going to create some financial concerns for us, and they do the same for us in terms of being able to share with us the bandwidth that they feel that the town is going to be able to have for the annual assessment. This year, one of the things that we are really focusing on is the middle school to high school retention. I'll get to that in just a second, but one of the things that's really important for the constituents to understand about building this particular budget is that this year we had a difference of almost $1.9 million between revenue and expenses. A lot of those things come down to the fact that certain grants that we've been able to utilize have been going away, but also just rising costs based on inflation. We also had 2 new collective bargaining agreements that kicked in at the same time. Those staff members earned raises, and so there was a very significant delta between the revenue that came in and the expenses that we had to address through the budget process. And unfortunately, because of that, we had to make some very significant cuts. We had to take out all facilities upgrades, and that included safety and security recommendations. I'll get to those in just a moment because there is a warrant article regarding those. But also, unfortunately, like many other districts this year, it had to come at the expense of some teaching positions and some auxiliary staff positions. So again, the big issue for us has been the middle school to high school transition. from the 2021-2022 school year to this school year, 2022-2023, we lost 33% of our 8th graders coming from Beckwith Middle School and Dighton Middle School to matriculate to Dighton-Rehoboth Regional High School. 80 students, 80 out of 240 students chose to go to other schools. There has been a downward decline of enrollment at our high school, and we are committed to doing things to make sure that we're changing that narrative about the wonderful things that do go on here. We're increasing safety and security. We're increasing the availability of our CTE programs. We're winning national awards. As long as we do a better job of getting out there and selling ourselves, then I feel that we're going to start cutting into this. We've done a lot of things this year to work towards it, but we've only scratched the surface in terms of being able to increase the number of students that are leaving our middle schools and coming to us as a high school. And again, I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on Bristol Plymouth or Bristol Aggie or any of the other schools. They're all fine institutions, but we are as well. And we need people to have their eyes opened to the fact that this is an outstanding option for their 8th grade students as well. One of the things that I'm very proud of, and I got to get a little closer so I can read this, I have one contact out and one contact in. One of the things that I'm really proud of is that Dighton Middle School enrolls 90% of the town's eligible student population for that age group. And then also, the elementary school is in that 80 to 85% of the school's eligible students coming to our district. Sadly, the high school only enrolls 53% of the eligible students that are of that age to go to high school. So again, that's a huge drop from having 90% at the middle school, mid-80s at the elementary school, to then dropping down to only 53% of the residents joining us at Dighton-Rehoboth Regional High School. Next, I just want to talk very briefly about the fact that we have submitted a statement of interest for the Massachusetts School Building Authority for Dighton Elementary School. Now, Dighton Elementary School was built in 1953. It did have some renovations in 1999, but we are overcrowded at Dighton Elementary School, and we have some significant systems and parts of the building that are starting to fail. Fortunately, the state has a program, it's a grant program, the MSBA, where you can apply, and if they take you into consideration, then you can receive almost half of the price for a brand new building. Again, I was fortunate when I was in Attleboro, we were able to get a project passed for $260 million. Again, it was a high school to accommodate 2,000 students. Dighton Elementary certainly would not be that large of a project, but the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, through the MSBA program, chipped in almost $130 million out of that $260 million. So, in working with our school committee and in working with town officials, we did submit a statement of interest to the MSBA. Statement of interest is simply dipping our toe in the water. There's no building that's been designed. There are no plans in place. It is just us letting the MSBA know, letting the state know that we have some significant concerns and deficiencies about the building at Dighton Elementary School. I have some photos here. I want to talk about, first of all, the overcrowding. The MSBA assessment of the Dighton Elementary School says that we should have 450 students in that building. If you took away the modular classrooms, then we should only have 400 students in that building. We currently have 475 students in that building. So we're already, this year, about 25 students more than the recommended capacity. Looking at enrollment projections, we are looking at probably having upwards of 520 to anywhere to 530 students over the course of the next 5 or 6 years. So that building, that the students are continuing to come to us, which is something that we're very excited about, except for the fact that the building is not getting any bigger. And so we have submitted a statement of interest based on one criteria of overcrowding, but we also have some issues here, and I have some photos. Again, I want to thank Detective Richards for helping me with some drone photos. The parking situation, the drop-off and pickup for our students, for our families, and for our buses is not as safe as it needs to be. When it was designed back in 1953, fewer buses, fewer cars. Now we've gotten to the point where we've got buses that are zigzagging across cars. We put staff members out there, but they can only direct traffic to a certain extent. Here's another photo, just again of the drop-off and pickup situation. And here are some photos here about just how the building is starting to fall into disrepair. And that is not a commentary on our facilities team. Our facilities team does an amazing job keeping that building clean. They repair things as much as possible. The town works with us to be able to keep repairs up as much as possible. But there are certain things that are just going to start to fail as the building gets older and older. Because we're running out of space, we had to take a teacher's lounge and convert it into an office space. Now our teachers, who work very hard, are now having their lunches and having their planning time on the stage. It's not optimal. It takes away an opportunity for our students to be able to use the stage, but it's the life that we live from the standpoint of having a very crowded building. The last thing that I want to mention is that as I mentioned, we had to strip out all of the safety and security enhancements for this particular budget submission. And we worked with our school committee to make a recommendation that there could be a warrant article for $100,000 to be able to enhance the safety and security at Dighton Elementary and Dighton Middle School. Currently, there are 0 security cameras in those 2 buildings. We also have outdated door locks without notifications if someone exits or someone enters without permission. We had a very significant situation back in the winter where someone got into Dighton Middle School, went up to the 2nd floor during off hours, plugged up a sink in the art room, left the water running. By all accounts, it's vandalism. I think most people would reason that that is the case, but with no security cameras, we were unable to pinpoint the culprit, and we had tens of thousands of dollars of damage there. That's just one reason why we need security cameras. Obviously, the other reasons are that we want to be able to partner with police and fire, that if we do have some very unfortunate situation, that we would be able to, isolate into different areas where our children needed and staff needed to be more safe. So, thank you for your time. I know that I had a lot to share with you, but in closing, I just want to say that this has been a phenomenal first year for me as superintendent. I have felt very welcomed. Your town is extremely professional. The leaders have your best interest at heart. It is a pleasure for me to be a part of that team. And as we continue to rally both of our towns that feed into this district, the We Are DR initiative is something that is very tangible for us, it's very real for us. Our kids are buying into it, our staff is buying into it, and we thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, we'd like to hear a report from Town Treasurer, Mr. Paul Evans.
Good evening, everybody. saying the treasurer and tax collector. It is great to be here tonight, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to address you this evening. Information about trust fund balances can be found in the annual reports, but I want to touch on a few brief highlights from this past year, as well as share some much-deserved recognition. It has now been a bit over a year that I have the privilege of serving the town of Dayton in the offices of treasurer and collector. This last year has been one of transition and change, full of excitement and adaptation. I'm excited to say that I've completed year one of a 3.5-year program to become a Massachusetts Municipal Certified Treasurer through the Massachusetts Collector Treasurer Association, or MCTA. The MCTA has been an invaluable resource, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to work towards full certification. And another exciting announcement, the town of Dayton held its first tax possession auction in several years this past March, which will return 6 properties to the tax rolls with $279,000 in winning bids, as well as upfront payment of all fiscal year 23 and 24 pro forma taxes paid in full. All properties except one have already closed, with the remaining parcel making its way towards final settlement. We've contracted with a point-of-sale company in order to accept debit and credit card payments for excise and property taxes. We're working on the final paperwork now, but the account has been established, and we are eyeing a roll-up date for next month in order to train our team to be online for August tax payments. Lastly, we have made strides in collecting delinquent tax title balances, working on payment arrangements with residents, and in some cases, complete payoffs, resulting in tax title receivables in fiscal year 23 approaching $250,000. I ran for office on a platform of respect and compassion, while also embracing the pragmatic reality that taxes must be collected. I'm proud of the work that we've done to reduce these outstanding tax title balances, while remaining preeminently mindful of the difficulties facing some of our neighbors and the intrinsic human dignity to which all are entitled. And lastly, I wanted to share my gratitude and thanks for the incredible contributions that others have made. There is an old African proverb which states, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. There's not enough time this evening for an all-inclusive list, but I'd like to briefly recognize and thank retired Treasurer-Collector Mary Hathaway. I'm tremendously grateful for all the hard work she's put in to ensuring a smooth transition and all the expertise and support that she's offered along the way. Secondly, I'd like to thank Assistant Treasurer-Collector Christina Franco. Christina has been an adept and dedicated public servant, and I cannot emphasize enough how valuable her consistency, dependability, good attitude, and skill are to the functioning of our office. The trains run on time in the Treasurer's office, and for this, we have Christina to thank. And last but not least, I want to recognize Senior Clerk Becky Mello. The only thing in life that is predictable is its unpredictability. And Becky has risen to meet unforeseen challenges with both acumen and zeal. Becky normally works jointly between the Treasurer's, Collector's, and Town Clerk's office. But this year, due to unforeseen staffing challenges, a woman who already wears many hats was asked to wear one more. Becky has provided considerable additional support to the Town Clerk's office while not compromising services in the Treasurer or Collector offices, including tonight at this very meeting. It is with gratitude not merely as a department head, but as a resident of Dayton that I thank her. Our office will continue to strive to provide outstanding service and embrace the opportunities and challenges of the upcoming fiscal year. And with the renewal of this commitment and my appreciation to the residents of Dayton, I hereby conclude the report for the offices of Treasurer and Collector. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I'd like to now ask Ms. Nancy Goulart to come forward and give a report on the Board of Assessors. Just the facts. Just the facts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the annual town meeting. On behalf of the Board of Assessors, I submit the following report. After the special town meeting held on November 1st, 2022, the board met with the Board of Selectmen and established tax rates for FY23, which were $13.94 residential real estate and $25.64 commercial real estate. This information submitted to the Department of Revenue was approved. In cooperation with the tax collector and his staff, the audit of a delinquent tax account that I reported on in November led to collection of a substantial amount of taxes without having to proceed with tax title foreclosure expenses. Our sincere thanks to the staff in both the assessors and tax collectors' offices. An important step was taken by the assessor's office that substantially increased the asset value of qualified taxpayers who may be eligible for a tax exemption. Widower tax assets have increased to $76,966. Senior/single taxpayers' assets have increased to $53,876. Senior/married taxpayers' assets have increased to $57,724. Asset values do not include the value of the home. Taxpayers may apply for a real estate tax exemption from July 1st, 2023 to April 1st, 2024. These new asset limits are expected to benefit an increased number of taxpayers. Taxpayers who wish to apply for an abatement of real estate and/or personal property taxes should contact the assessor's office for more information. Abatements may only be submitted between January 1st and 31st for the FY24 tax year in order to be reviewed by the board. If you feel that you may be eligible for an exemption or abatement, we urge you to contact our office for additional information. The assessors meet tri-weekly on Wednesday mornings at the Old Town Hall. Our meetings are recorded and may be viewed online. The public is welcome to attend our meetings. Thank you to all of our residents. We look forward to serving you in the coming fiscal year. Respectfully submitted, Eric J. Easterday, Chairman, Nancy J. Goulart, Clerk, William F. Moore, Member.
Is working on the Board of Assessors. I just want to take a second to recognize Nancy. She works tirelessly for this community. Thank you for everything you do. Are there any other town officials that would like to give a report at this time?
Mr. Moderator, I move that we accept the reports of the town officials and capital outlay committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 2.
To authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all necessary town officials and town committees not otherwise provided by statute or act thereon. Board of Selectmen recommends.
I heard a motion. I didn't hear a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all necessary town officials and town.
Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $14,493.95 to pay prior year bills. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and second. Since this is a motion to pay prior year bills, it will require a 4/5 vote. So, at that, is there any discussion? Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I move that the town vote to establish
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to establish the salaries of elected town officials for fiscal year 2024 in accordance with the provisions of Section 108 Chapter 41 of the General Laws as recommended by the Finance Committee and printed in Article 4 of the June 5th, 2023 Annual Town Meeting warrant, provided that the $8,956.25 in recommended funding for the members of the Planning Board be appropriated equally between the 4 members of the Planning Board.
Second by Peter Carroll. Discussion from the Board of Selectmen. Mr. Moderator, I would like to point out the inadvertent serious error in the Board of Selectmen's recommendation for moderated salary. Sorry, Board. The Board of Selectmen recommendation is the same as the Finance Committee's recommendation of $500.
Scrivener's error? That's like a 75-cent order. I'll entertain a motion to cease distributing word of the day calendars to all town officials. So there was an error in the printing. That's Scrivener means. So you were seconding the motion, Mr. Carey?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion about the salaries for the town officials? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So Article 5 is going to be, this is the big one of the budget, and there's going to be several motions on the table. If you look inside the booklet that was provided to you, you will see the budget. It's kind of like this. And we're going to be going through it one section at a time. So each motion is going to pertain to a particular section. And what I will do is I'll try to clarify for you what section we are talking about at any given time. That being said,
Mr. Moderator, I move the town votes to raise, appropriate, and transfer from sewer indirect costs to general government accounts as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, specifically to raise and appropriate the amount of $1,757,609.62 and to transfer $19,899.50 from the sewer indirect costs for personnel and expenses of said departments as provided for a total sum of $1,777,509.12 for the fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
so the motion was made and seconded. This motion is for general government, which you'll see in your booklet is item numbers 113 through 195, total being 1,777,509.12, as just mentioned. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, sir. Please come forward. I need to mention anybody that wishes to speak tonight, could you please come forward to the microphone and speak into the microphone. If you cannot do so, we will run the microphone out to you. No, please come to the microphone because we need it for the recording. Thank you, sir. Please state your name and address.
David Arujo, 790 Tremont Street. An explanation on line number 122 and line 151. That would be the Board of Selectmen's increase of roughly $16,500 and the Town Council for an increase of $15,000.
Who would like to speak to that? Board of Selectmen, Mr. Lowe.
Just bear with me one moment, please. The total The FY23 Selectmen's Department budget, like in the warrant, like it actually appears. Hold on a second, I'm sorry. I don't, we can just,
It's entirely possible this is another scrambler's error.
Thank God for the FinCom committee chairman, who reminded me. The additional $20,000 variance, thank you, Chairman Roach. The Board of the Selectmen's budget so includes a salary reserve that would fund the provisions like of a successor collective bargaining agreement with the town's clerical, council on aging, and library union, and we're in the process of bargaining with the union, and which we hope that will be wrapped up with an agreement soon. So with the fiscal year, so with FY24 only a few weeks away now, once we do have an agreement with the clerical union, rather than having our employees wait till a November special town meeting, yes, $20,000 salary reserve, and will provide us with the ability to fund that agreement, when we do come to an agreement, rather than waiting till a fall special town meeting.
So to be clear, this is not for the Board of Selectmen so much as it's for the employees?
Yes, the clerical union employees. This is a salary reserve for our clerical union employees.
Just in case the amount goes higher based on union negotiations. The other question was concerning the law, town council. Went from 40,000 to 55,000.
Yes, Mr. Arujo and members of the town of Dayton. Over the past year, we have been involved in a great deal of litigation with developers. I believe most of you are quite well aware of the litigation involving Forest Hills and also Strawberry Fields. We have other developments that are in the pipeline right now that will involve legal counsel, hopefully not lawsuits, but certainly the expense of the developers coming to town has an impact. We also have contracts to negotiate going forward. So we've seen an increase, and it's because of the potential for litigation and going forward litigation that conservation and planning board are already involved in.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Mr. Smith, please come forward, state your name and address.
Kevin Smith Jr., 1147 Center Street. As Mr. Hollett said, we're facing some litigation regarding the developments. We already have a warrant article, Article 19, asking for $50,000 in legal fees, specifically for those, so we double dipping, putting extra money into town council and having an additional warrant article.
Thank you.
So, no, the answer is no. We do have a dedicated way, So through the proposed warrant article to deal with the Forest Hills claim and related claims, one of the things and why we're proposing to increase the town council line is frankly, so like it is 2023, again, the amount of potential legal issues, the real legal issues that we do face and have to deal with on a regular basis. They are increasing just like everywhere else. We're essentially a $25 million operation, in $25 million corporations and organizations. So yeah, they do go with legal challenges. One of the things we also have been placing a huge priority on, so it's actually codifying a lot of our employment policies. In a lot of our employment procedures. We, up until now, we haven't had a lot of rules of the road in terms of policies and procedures. In that process, as part of that process, we want to make sure that, those policies and procedures are legally sound. So when we do right by our employees, and we make sure that as we craft these items, then procedures and policies, that we do them in accordance with all the very real and evolving laws as well.
So I don't think I got the full reason for the answer. The actual article. Kevin, what number was it? What was the article? 19?
Can I just ask?
Hold on one second, please. So this says here, we're raising $50,000 in Article 19, which we have not voted on, but yet we also have in our budget $55,000, right? Yeah. So why is this in two separate places? I guess that's what I'd like to know.
So one of the reasons that there's a separate article is that separate article is any legal funds would be specifically spent for that particular reason. Planning board, legal-related expenses regarding complaints filed against the planning board and relevant boards on specific developments, as opposed to the general legal professional town council line. There are anticipated costs that could lead up to the $55,000 just for that specific line. And the town council line is also going to fund the DR mediation.
So if I understand correctly, the answer here is that the item in the budget is specifically for mundane, everyday stuff, which we're expecting to go up. And then the future article is specifically for planning board issues. Is that correct? Does that answer your question sufficiently? Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to hear this is a motion on the general government item of the budget. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from the ambulance fund the total amount of $4,185,362.04 to public safety accounts, as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023, annual town meeting, Article 5, specifically to raise and appropriate $3,805,362.04 and to transfer $380,000 from the ambulance fund for the fiscal year 2024.
Motion made and seconded. This is the motion for public safety. And this is inclusive of lines 210 through 299 in the book. For a total of $4,185,362.04. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? The motion passes.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate for education assessments as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, the sum of $13,505,004.50 for fiscal year 2024.
Motion made and seconded. This is for the education budget, which would be items just 300, I believe. The grand total will be the amount of $13,505,004.50. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate to the highway accounts as specified in the warrant for the June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, and specifically for personnel and expenses of the highway department as therein provided, the sum of $1,034,370.52 for fiscal year 2024. FinCom recommends.
Motion made and seconded. This is concerning highway construction and maintenance expense. The items number 422 through 432 in your book. And the total is 103,437,005. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate to the sanitation account to waste collection and disposal and transfer station as specified in the warrant for the June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, and specifically for the personnel and expense of said departments as therein provided, the sum of $866,016.73 for fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This is for sanitation. Items number 433 and 435 in the total amount of $866,016.73. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate to other environmental accounts to wit the cemetery account as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, and specifically for personnel and expenses of said departments as therein provided, the sum of $25,840 for fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and seconded. This is just the cemetery expense, item 491. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $423,942.99 to the Human Services accounts as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, for personnel and expenses of said departments as they are provided for fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and seconded. This is for Human Services, which is line numbers 510 through 549 in the budget, for a total of $423,942.99. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from PEG access and cable-related funds to culture and recreation accounts the sum of $364,730.60 as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, and specifically to raise and appropriate $328,730.60 and to transfer $36,000 from the PEG access for the personnel and expenses as they're provided for fiscal year 2024.
Motion made and seconded. This is for culture and recreation. This would be items numbers 610 through 698 in the budget. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from Title V the sum of $362,843 to debt service accounts as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, specifically to raise and appropriate $356,175 and to transfer $6,668 from Title V for expenses for fiscal year 2024.
Motion's made and seconded. This is specifically concerning debt, which is items number 710 through 752. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $199,688 to state and county charges to wit state county assessments and charges as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, for expenses for fiscal year 2024 by the county plans.
Motion is made and seconded. This is specifically concerning state and county charges, which is items number 820 and 830 on the budget for a total of $199,688. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate $2,508,760.25 to employee benefit accounts as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5, and specifically for expenses of said accounts as therein provided for fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion is made and seconded. This is specifically concerning employee benefits, which are item numbers 911 through 920 in the budget for a total of $2508760.25. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $240,200 to liability insurance accounts as specified in the warrant for June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting, Article 5 for expenses of said accounts as therein provided for fiscal year 2024. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion was made and seconded. This is simply for item number 945 for $240,200. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are through the budget. Article 6.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve the sums outlined to be expended under the direction of Board of Sewer Commissioners for the maintenance of the sewer enterprise for fiscal year 2024, as recommended by the Finance Committee and printed in Article 6 of the June 2023 annual town warrant.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 7.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the town bylaws, Article 36, Section 5, authorize revolving funds to add and establish additional revolving funds as outlined in Article 7 of the June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting warrant.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Article 8.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, as most recently amended to establish fiscal year limitations on expenditures from the revolving funds established by the Town of Dayton's General Bylaws, Section 36, Departmental Revolving Funds, with such limitations for FY24, as stated in Article 8 of June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting.
Second. Motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 9.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to make changes in grade, take land by purchase or eminent domain, and to settle damages from land taken in conjunction with the fiscal year 2024 highway program under Chapter 90 in the Town Road Improvement Program.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 10.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to grant to the Board of Selectmen the authority to obtain whatever parcels or easements as necessary to make changes in grade, take land by purchase or eminent domain, and to settle damages from land taken in conjunction with highway maintenance or road or bridge reconstruction projects.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 126 of the Acts of 1988, amending Section 4 of Chapter 73 of the Acts of 1986 to allow an additional exemption which will be for all exemptions, and none of which shall exceed 25% of said exemption for which they qualify in fiscal year 2023.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Could I have an explanation of that?
Mr. Woodman, I would like an explanation. I think, well, how about Nancy? Would you be willing to talk about it? No, maybe not. So basically what this is for all exemptions, so say, for example, senior tax exemptions, line tax exemption, etc. Right now, we're giving $1,000 for anybody that gets an exception. This motion would allow us to apply a cost of living increase to that exemption. So people that get $1,000, they might get $1,100 or something like that. Is that fair, Nancy? I got a nod from Nancy. And a thumbs up. I never get a thumbs up. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town transfer from free cash an amount of $10,667 in order to close out overdrawn accounts or account deemed uncollectible for fiscal year 23.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Act annual reserves in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for the committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in the fiscal year 2024, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation as printed in the June 5th, 2023 annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to allow the representative Joe Shea from Granite City Partners to participate in any discussion regarding Articles 14 and 15.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to allow Mr. Shea to speak at this meeting. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate $20,000 from the Historic Resource Fund and $303,000 from the CPA Undesignated Unreserved Fund to be expended by the Community Preservation Committee for the preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration of the historic Smith Memorial Hall located at 207 Main Street, as presented by the Library Building Committee, including HVAC, electrical, carpentry, and ADA compliance improvements.
Don't take any action. So motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
If I may. So the CCC has voted to recommend that the town vote to approve this funding. It is a unique opportunity for us to not only preserve a piece of Dayton history, but also to see it repurposed for the use of the new library. I will say that the Granite City Partners have done a wonderful job of presenting us with a project that falls within the Secretary of Interior standards and meeting the guidelines to make it eligible for CPA funds.
Is this from Mr. O'Shea? Is he from that company?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Opposed. Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from available funds an amount of money not to exceed the amount of $404,000 to fund the Dayton Public Library building and property improvements and related upgrades at 207 Main Street. The Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Opposed. Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $106,146.76 to be expended by the fire chief as the second payment of a 7-year lease to purchase a new fire engine and any necessary accessories.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Your hand up, Mr. Ruben? Scratch and hand or hand up? Okay. Anything else? Listen, you guys can hang around for the important stuff. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from the ambulance fund the amount of $23,533.06 to be combined with $122,000 in the funds already approved in Article 21 of the June 6, 2022 annual town meeting for a total of $145,533.06 to fund the first year's payment of a 3-year lease to purchase a new ambulance and any necessary accessories relative thereto and compromise.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $50,561.92 to be expended by the highway superintendent as the 4th-year lease to purchase payment on the 2020 Elgin Pelican Street sweeper voted in Article 22 of the annual town meeting warrant of June 15, 2020. FinCom recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be expended by the planning board for legal and related expenses regarding complaints filed against the planning board, the town of Dayton, and/or relevant town officials.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 20.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $300,000 to be expended by the highway superintendent to fund Main Street road reconstruction, repaving, sidewalk construction, and related work. The Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 21.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $28,000 to be expended by the highway superintendent to have an alternatives analysis report conducted on the closed bridge over the segregated river on Briggs Street. Finance Committee recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Hall.
For Mr. Ferry to address the concerns in regards to liability issues of this project and the town.
Mr. Ferry is a resident, isn't he?
Mr. Ferry is a resident.
So he's welcome to come up and I don't see it. It's bright up here.
Mr. Ferry.
Mr. Ferry, you willing to come up here and speak? Oh, there it is. Sorry, really dark.
Mr. Moderator, my concern was we've had many years that this bridge has been closed. And in my discussions with Mr. Ferry, he has explained his concerns as potential liability issues. So I would like him to...
So the question is liability concerns on this dilapidated bridge, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ferry?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Ferry, with the Drivers Lieutenant. So I'm proposing an alternative analysis done by a consultant for the future use of this bridge. It doesn't mean a bridge replacement. It's most likely the bridge will be removed. It's what we're going to do safely for the bridge. Right now, we're looking at a liability just sitting there doing nothing. It's not even being inspected annually. We have pedestrians walking over it, and it's still deteriorating. There's not enough width. There is also a building over the part of the structure also. So we need to have an alternative analysis with the community on what to do with this location.
So in case anybody's unaware, this is a dilapidated bridge. How long has it been out? Like 20 years or something like that?
Yeah,
Do you know how
late
long?
1985. It's the whole structure made out of flat stone.
I'm saying, how long has it been closed?
Since 1985.
Since 1997. The bridge has been closed since 1985. This article is looking to try to find out what else we can do with it and keep liability away from the town. Any other questions? Or Mr. Smith, please come forward.
So, would a bridge inspection simply suffice and then you make adjustments? I get the pleasure of riding bicycles with my kids down that road and there's a tree in the middle of it. It's a little funny, but it's a nice little spot. Do we need to have a full-blown engineering study done, or do we simply inspect the bridge and have it deemed safe for foot traffic, and you possibly repair the asphalt, remove the tree, and repair the asphalt instead?
So the question is, can it be just inspected and not changed?
I believe the inspection will be that first initial inspection will cause more frequent than 1 year because there's two stones that allow media to fall through already, and so you wouldn't know if there's a cavity formed underneath you.
Good. Any more discussion? Please state your name and address.
Scott Sylvester. I live at 150 Briggs Street, right? I'm also the abutter to the bridge. I guess my main concern would be I'd like to keep it foot traffic only. That, as we all know, the road width is now on that road. And I think it's part of our local community that a lot of people like to walk that road, and it would be kind of an unnecessary necessary cut through if we open it up. So,
So it's my understanding that this is to try to figure out alternatives. Maybe Mr. Ferry could speak to, I mean, is there any consideration to fixing the bridge and bringing it back to use for automobile traffic?
no.
So this particular, we approved this $28,000. There's not going to be an option to put a car bridge back in that spot.
Correct. It would be, the nuts and bolts of it would be remove it from nothing, barricade properly on each side, or maybe even consider a proper pedestrian type bridge.
Does that satisfy the question, sir?
Yes, it does.
Great, thank you very much. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 22.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from the ambulance fund the amount of $34,000 to be expended by the fire chief for the purchase of 2 CPR compressors and any associated accessories related thereto. Finance Committee supports.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Why 30? Is it 1 unit or 2 units?
It is 2.
Is it 1 unit or 2 units? The answer is 2 units. But the, hold on.
Yes, the warrant says 1. It is
The warrant says 1.
2 for 34.
I would suggest a motion to amend would be proper. Well, she said 2.
Yeah.
She said 2. So even though the article says 1, she said 2. So the motion is for 2 compressors at, and what? At $34,000 total.
Correct.
Total, yes. That answer your question, sir? Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from available funds an amount not to exceed $100,000 to be expended by the Dayton-Rehoboth Regional School District for the purchase and installation of access tools, related school security and public safety upgrades to the Dayton Elementary School and Dayton Middle School. FinCom recommends.
That's not what it is. Would you like to repeat that? You said tools.
Oh, sorry about that. Access controls related schools.
Please repeat the entire motion.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from available funds an amount not to exceed $100,000 to be expended by the Dayton-Rehoboth Regional School District for the purchase and installation of access controls, related school security, and public safety upgrades to the Dayton Elementary School and Dayton Middle School. FinCom recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Article 24.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from the PEG Access Fund the sum of $60,000 from the Cable Committee PEG Access and Cable-Related Fund account number 24033006300302240 to furnish the new Channel 9 studio with audio and video equipment, furniture, and a TV, upgrade cable workstation and server, and add editing software for Channel 9 operations, upgrade audio, visual recording technology, and equipment at Old Town Hall and the Police Department Community Room. FinCom recommends.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Excuse me, somebody talking? Okay, none heard. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 25.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve the amended Dayton-Rehoboth Regional School District agreement by deleting the text shown from the strike through and inserting the text shown in italics or highlighted, underlined as printed in Article 25 of the annual town meeting warrant of June 5th, 2023.
Motion made and seconded. I'd like to mention that, I personally have asked questions about this, and it is boilerplate changes. There's nothing really major going on here. Anybody have any questions about it? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article 26.
Mr. Moderator, I move to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws, Article 1, town meeting, by inserting in place a new subsection, moderator. The moderator shall be elected for a 3-year term at the regular annual town election, beginning at the 2024 annual town election and every 3 years thereafter.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Seeing as this is a motion that directly affects myself, I will have to recuse myself at this point, and I'm going to ask Mr. Peter Karen to please moderate the meeting for the duration of this article. Thank you.
We have a seconded. Is there any discussion? There was a second. Is there any discussion? Is hearing done? The recommendation passes.
Vote.
Is there any discussion? I know you're just clairvoyant. You knew that was going to be the answer. Okay, let's see. Next item is talking about the Finance Committee. First off, I would like to take a moment to recognize the incredible work that the Finance Committee has done over the past year. They've done a great job, specifically with the zero-based budgeting, as you've seen. And I'd like to thank all of the members here. And we have a couple of members that won't be returning next year, so I'm going to turn over to Ms. Roach to discuss.
Just one thing that I wanted to do to make sure there's a couple of members here that have more than a decade of service to the town Finance Committee. We've got Robert Rendon, who's been here for 12 years, or 13, we can't remember. And then Kevin Perry, who's been here for 18 years. And I just wanted to say thank you to both of them for everything, as well as all the... It is my pleasure to announce to you the next year's 2023-24 Finance Committee. I appoint Peter Roach, Ron McKay, Susan Lorenz, Andrew Horton, William Mello, Douglas White, and William Pruitt. If you're here, please come see Mr. Pacheco to get sworn in. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Moderator, I move that the annual town meeting be dissolved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.